Welcome back to the Habit-Based Lifestyle Podcast. I'm your host, Jesse Ewell, and I want to welcome you to 2024.
You are tuning in to the Habit-Based Lifestyle Podcast with your host, Jesse Ewell. This is the Habit-Based Lifestyle. Let's go.
And if you're listening to this, it's already the new year. What that brings a lot of new things. And this time of year, I thought it would be fitting to talk about resolutions and the difference between resolutions and results. So this time of year, is when everybody is setting, resolutions, setting goals, all these things that they want to accomplish. But I really want to break down and talk about not making this another year of resolutions, but really a year of results. And I want to walk through a step-by-step process of what this looks like, because every single year for the last, it's probably been about 26 years, I have helped people with, whether it be resolutions early on, goals later on, targets later on, to ultimately those things represent results that we want to get. I have been a part of a transformation process to help people do that, whether that be in their body, whether that be in their health, whether that be in their, business, relationships, whatever area it is. But these are some of the common mistakes that I see people make when it comes to resolutions. So I want to talk today specifically about what is the difference between a resolution and a result. So let's talk about this. So a resolution is something that you set once a year. And what does that mean? That means that every year towards the end of the year, we sit down and we start talking about my resolutions for this upcoming year. Now, if you're listening to this, you might be like, well, no, I call those goals or I call those targets. You can call it whatever you want, but like the goal is this. If you're trying to set yourself up for success by just talking about a resolution, something you're going to change this year, I want you to consider the difference between a resolution is typically a resolution is talked about once a year. A result is something that we set every week, every month, every quarter, every year, and they're all leading to the same place. So what does that mean? That means that when I sit down at the end of the year, I talk about, okay, what is the result that I want to be at a year from now in my physical body? What is a result that I want to be at inside of my business? What is a result I want to be at inside of my marriage, my relationship with God? Whatever that is, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to begin to construct what the results look like that I have. Now, once I've done that, I'm going to begin another process of what I call reverse engineering, which I'll talk about a little bit more. I'm not going to dive into it, but I'm going to break that down into a quarterly game that I call challenge-based lifestyle. What this is challenging yourself in five areas of health to actually achieve the results you want. So everything that I'm doing each quarter lines up with ultimately what I want at the end of the year. And so this is something that I don't just look at once a quarter, once a year. It's something I'm looking at every single week. It's something I'm looking at every single month. And so all of that is leading me to a result that I want in the future. A resolution is something that we create one time and then we hope and pray that we're going to get there in the future. I'm going to explain what this is. Now, resolutions, because of what I just said, resolution oftentimes start with temporary change and end with very little. So what does that mean? That means that a lot of times when we set resolutions, we're actually setting ourselves up for failure. We're setting ourselves up for a temporary change because, let's be honest, I don't have to change who I am or how I'm showing up if resolutions are something that we only pay attention to for a period of 4 weeks, maybe 8 weeks most. The time frame of when most people give up on their resolutions is between the 4 to 6 week mark. Now, most people may say, well, what if they don't give up? Okay. Here's what I know. The majority of people I've worked with the last 26 years that set resolutions and set them from that place usually ended up stopping within 4 to 8 weeks from the first of the year. Now, they wanted better results. They wanted to change, but they didn't actually have to change the next piece. A result says this: who would I have to become in the next 30 days to get me, part of the way there? Who would I have to become in the next 90 days to get me to this place? Who would I have to become in a year from now to actually be this person that steps into this? So when we think about it, results are about who we have to become to achieve a result. A resolution oftentimes is just about making a temporary change. So we're here for the long game. We're here because we want to become somebody different. We want to demonstrate how we get results. And so in order to do that, I have to change who I'm being and how I show up on a day-to-day basis. Okay. Number 3 is this: resolutions often do not have a new standard involved. So if I want to enter into a resolution, I want to change who I am, it's going to start with a standard of my expectation. Well, resolutions don't often have standards. Okay. Results do. In order for me to achieve these results that I want in my life, this is the new standard that I'm going to need to create. And so that standard is what I call a routine. Okay. So routine is what takes us to the results that we ultimately want. And you guys have probably heard me talk about your routine is greater than your results. Well, guess what? Your standard operating system works off of your routine, whether it be a morning routine, evening routine, business routine, whatever way you want to put it. Your results are highly dictated, or your lack thereof, by the routine that you have for yourself. And so if I want to raise my standard, I'm going to have to raise my routine and how I show up on a day-to-day basis. A resolution is just something that's not going to do that. And so when we talk about resolutions, we're talking about temporary change. We're talking about not raising that standard of who we are and how we show up. We're simply talking about not really having a plan, because let's be honest, most resolutions, they don't have a plan, or at least if they do, it's for a short period of time. We're looking for a temporary change, but we say we want this big thing we want to be committed to. Remember, who I am today could not pull off what I want a year from now unless I become somebody different. So one of the worst things that we can do is look back and say, man, I set a resolution every single year and I stopped setting them because it never made me change and it didn't force me to become somebody different. Guess what? If I want different results, I have to have a different routine. If I want a different routine, I got to raise my standard, which means that I have to become somebody different. So when we talk about resolutions, it's about not having a plan. Okay. Resolutions do not have plans. And so imagine a box, and on that box, I have the plans for my life, the plans for 2024. What do I want to accomplish? But when I talk about resolutions, there's such a temporary change. There's such a temporary place we create these from. We end up not having a plan. We end up not having a solution. We end up not even having a standard to those. And so when you set results, you begin the process of reverse engineering what this process looks like. So think about this. If I want a specific result in my life, in my body, maybe in my business, I'm going to begin the process of reverse engineering how I do that. Okay. From 12 months to 90 days to 30 days to now a week. And I can ask myself every single day, hey, is this going to get me closer to what I want? Is this routine going to ultimately help me get what I want in my life? If it is, I'm going to continue on that path. If it's not, then I got to do something different. So when we think about this, is results are ultimately the thing they want, But we have to learn the process of reverse engineering how to get those results. The way that we do that is we must ask ourselves, hey, who must I become to be this person that gets this results? This tells me what I have to change. This tells me the routine of that person. This tells me that I have to raise the standard of how I'm currently showing up. And this also tells me how exactly I'm going to reverse engineer this process. And this gives me kind of a play-by-play. So we go big picture, 1 year, we go quarterly, first quarter, and then we begin that process of bringing it back to the monthly and then weekly process. And then I get into my routine. Hey, what is the things that I need to do on a day-to-day basis to get there? And then who would I have to show up, or who would I have to be? So I have to demonstrate the qualities of a person that would have these results. I would have to demonstrate the qualities of a person that I would have to change into. Okay. And this gives me a plan. This gives me a process on how I can actually do that. And really it just comes down to ending up being the one who does the work. So let's recap. Let's talk about this year in 2024, dropping the resolutions and talking about the results that you ultimately want in these areas of your life, and then understanding a process on how to get that, because ultimately that is what we want. We're working towards a result that we want, and we're really focused on that. And when we can focus on that, things begin to change in our life. So maybe you guys are listening to this and you're asking yourself, hey, what is one result I'm looking for in my physical body? What is one result I'm looking for in my marriage? What's one result I'm looking for in my relationship with God? What is one result I'm looking for in my business? And then beginning to reverse engineer that process into what I call a challenge-based lifestyle, which is a 90-day plan of execution on how you can get 25% of the way there. Because think about it, quarter one really gets us 25% of the way to where we want to be a year from now. And so imagine if you could be 25% better at the end of quarter one than you were at the beginning. And you're not just looking back in 2024 at the end of the year and saying, man, another year went by and I didn't change anything. This is the process of exactly how we do this. So inside of habit-based lifestyle, this is one of the things that we work on, how to reverse engineer your results from a routine. And not only that, but we're going to be throughout this whole month, we're going to be talking about how I've done this, how I help my clients do this, and how you too can do this in your own business, in your own life, and accomplish whatever you want to in 2024. So guys, you want to be part of our habit-based lifestyle and a community, simply just go to the show notes, click on Habit-Based Lifestyle Secrets group. It'll take you directly into our Facebook group where we'll break this down for you. But until then, until next episode, we'll have a new podcast up all month long, talking about results, how you reverse engineer these things. And I'll be breaking these down so you can understand these at a deeper level. Hope you guys have an amazing 2024. Set yourself up for success, drop the resolutions, and focus on results. Have a great night.
You are tuning in to the Habit-Based Lifestyle Podcast with your host, Jesse Ewell. This is the Habit-Based Lifestyle. Let's go.